Sometimes love doesn't arrive in the ways we expect. Sometimes it sneaks into our lives quietly in the silence of a shared apartment, in the accidental brush of skin, or in the kind of moment we were never supposed to witness. This is the story of Tom and Jordan, two college roommates who never thought of each other beyond friendship until one late night when curiosity opened the door to something deeper, something tender and something unforgettable. It's a story of discovery, of the courage it takes to open up, and the beauty of finding love where you least expect it. Stay with me as we follow their journey from tension to intimacy, from confusion to clarity, and from strangers under the same roof to soulmates who could no longer deny the truth of their hearts. The apartment was unusually quiet that night. Most of the building's residents were either at parties or back home for the weekend. Tom sat in the living room, textbooks spread out across the coffee table, trying to cram for an exam he didn't want to take. He sighed, rubbing his eyes. His roommate Jordan had gone to his bedroom a couple of hours earlier. Tom and Jordan had been living together for almost a year now. They weren't best friends exactly, but they weren't strangers either. Tom, the quieter one, preferred routines and late-night study sessions. Jordan, on the other hand, was spontaneous, outgoing, and had a smile that could light up a room. Where Tom was cautious, Jordan was bold. That contrast made them an odd pair, but also balanced. Tom secretly admired Jordan's confidence. The way he moved, the way he talked, the way he never seemed afraid to be himself. Tom stretched, deciding he'd had enough of textbooks for the night. As he walked down the hallway toward his room, he passed Jordan's door. It wasn't completely shut. The faintest strip of light spilled out into the hallway. He froze when he heard a sound, a low, shaky exhale, then a muffled groan. Tom's chest tightened. Curiosity tugged at him before he could stop it. He leaned closer, and the image burned into his eyes. Jordan lying back on his bed, hand moving slowly across his own body, lips parted in quiet gasps. Tom's heart raced. He should have turned away. He should have gone back to his room and pretended he saw nothing, but he couldn't move. His throat went dry as he watched Jordan's face twist with pleasure. The boy he lived with, the boy he secretly admired, was lost in his own private world, completely unaware that Tom stood frozen in the doorway. Then, as if sensing eyes on him, Jordan's head turned. Their gazes collided, Tom's breath caught. Jordan froze, too, his hand halting. For a long, heavy second, neither of them moved. Tom stumbled back. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, but Jordan didn't look angry. If anything, a slow smile tugged at the corner of his lips, a flush creeping across his face. You saw that, huh? Jordan's voice was soft, teasing, but with a vulnerable edge. Tom couldn't find words. High Seer's burned hot. I just Jordan chuckled lightly, though his eyes held something searching. You liked it, didn't you? Tom's stomach flipped. Shame and desire collided inside him. He wanted to deny it, but the truth weighed heavy. His silence was the only answer. Jordan sat up slowly, pulling the sheets around his waist. His voice was gentle now. You don't have to be embarrassed. I'm not mad. Honestly, I kind of like that you saw. Tom blinked, unsure if he heard correctly. You like that I saw? Yeah. Jordan's eyes softened, locking onto his. Because if I'm being honest, Tom, I've caught you looking at me before, and maybe I wanted you to see me tonight. The words hit Tom like aspark. His lips parted, but no sound came. He felt exposed, but also strangely liberated. For the first time, he didn't feel like the quiet roommate hiding in the shadows of Jordan's confidence. For the first time, he felt seen. Tom stepped closer, his pulse hammering. Jordan didn't look away. He waited, patient and open. I did like it, Tom whispered finally, his voice trembling. I liked it a lot. The room grew heavy with unspoken tension. Jordan reached out, extending his hand. Tom hesitated only a second before placing his own in it. And in that simple touch, the boundaries of their friendship shifted forever. The next morning, Tom woke with the memory of last, night burning like fire under his skin. He had barely slept, replaying the moment over and over. The way Jordan had smiled, the way his voice had softened, the way his hand had reached out. It wasn't just what Tom had seen. It was what it stirred in him. He had admired Jordan from the day they moved in together. Admired his ease, his confidence, his charm, but admiration had quietly grown into attraction, one Tom never dared acknowledge out loud. Until last night stripped away the veil. Tom rubbed his face and sat up in bed. His chest thudded with nervous anticipation. What if Jordan regretted it? What if he pretended nothing had happened? Or worse, what if he thought Tom was some kind of creep for watching? The sound of the shower turning off jolted him from his thoughts. Jordan's door opened, and soon he appeared in the hallway, towel slung low around his waist, droplets glistening on his chest. "Morning," Jordan said casually, though his eyes lingered on Tom a moment too long. "Morning," Tom managed, voice tight. An awkward silence stretched between them, broken only when Jordan tilted his head and smirked. "You're acting like you saw me naked or something." Tom's face flushed crimson. You're impossible." Jordan laughed, warm and disarming, before disappearing into his room. Yet underneath the laughter there was something else. A knowing glance, a lingering tension, a question that neither of them dared toast. Later that day, Tom found himself at their usual coffee shop. It had become a ritual between them, Jordan ordering a caramel latte, Tom a plain black coffee. They sat by the window watching people hurry past, pretending their lives weren't tangled with unspoken truths. "You were quiet last night after you know," Jordan said, suddenly stirring his drink. His tone was light, but his eyes searched Tom's face. Tom's throat tightened. "I didn't know what to say. You could have said you were curious." Tom glanced up sharply. Jordan was smiling again, that same teasing smile, but there was something underneath. Vulnerability, an invitation. "I was curious," Tom admitted quietly. The words hung between them. Jordan leaned back, eyes narrowing slightly like he was trying to read Tom's soul. "And did curiosity feel good?" Tom's pulse quickened. He looked down at his coffee, afraid his face betrayed too much. "Yes." Silence again, but this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was charged. The air between them crackled with something neither of them could laugh off anymore. That night, back at the apartment, Tom tried to focus on his notes again, but concentration was impossible. Jordan wandered into the kitchen, hair messy, wearing only a loose t-shirt and joggers. "You study too much," Jordan teased, opening the fridge. "You need balance," Tom smirked faintly. "And you need discipline." "Touché." Jordan grabbed a soda and leaned against the counter, watching him. There was that look again, the one Tom had caught earlier, bold, unashamed, but searching. Finally, Jordan broke the silence. "Tom, have you ever thought about me like that before last night?" The question hit Tom like a lightning bolt. His chest tightened. Words caught in his throat. He wanted to lie, but honesty clawed its way out. "Yes." Jordan's brows lifted slightly, though he didn't look surprised. If anything, he looked relieved. "I thought so," he said softly. You did?" Jordan shrugged, sipping his soda. "I'm not blind. The way you look at me sometimes. I wondered if you felt it too." Tom swallowed hard. "And what about you?" Jordan's gaze deepened. "I've thought about you too." The world tilted. Tom's heart pounded so hard he thought Jordan might hear it. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy, alive, filled with the promise of something that neither of them could stop now. Later that week, the tension became unbearable. Every glance, every accidental brush of skin felt electric. They circled each other like magnets, drawn close but afraid of the pull until one evening when the power went out in their building. The apartment plunged into darkness. "Guess we're stuck without Netflix tonight," Jordan joked, lighting a candle he found in the kitchen. The soft glow painted his face in gold, shadows flickering across his jaw. Tom's breath caught. He had never seen Jordan look so beautiful. They sat together on the couch, closer than usual. The quiet was different tonight, deeper, charged. "Tom," Jordan whispered, his voice low and raw. Tom turned his head, and before he could think, Jordan's hand brushed his. The contact was simple, but it sent a shiver through his entire body. Neither pulled away. Instead, their fingers intertwined slowly, deliberately, like it had been waiting to happen all along. "I don't know where this goes," Jordan murmured, "but I want to find out with you." Tom's chest swelled. He squeezed Jordan's hand, eyes glistening in the candlelight. "Me too." And for the first time, it wasn't just friendship. It was something more. Fragile, dangerous, and infinitely beautiful. The days that followed felt different, subtle, but undeniable. Tom noticed it in the way Jordan lingered when passing by, shoulders brushing deliberately. He noticed it in the laughter that came too easily when they teased each other, in the silence that stretched too long after the laughter faded. He noticed it in the warmth of Jordan's hand when their fingers grazed while reaching for the same cup. Something had shifted, but shifts were dangerous. Tom had lived his life carefully, quietly. He had never been reckless with his feelings. Jordan was the opposite, bold, unafraid, the type to flirt openly and then shrug it off with a grin. Tom worried this was just curiosity for him, something fleeting, and if it was, what would that mean for Tom, whose chest already ached every time Jordan's eyes lingered too long? One evening, they sat on the balcony together. The city glowed below, windows twinkling like stars against the night sky. Jordan passed Tom a bottle of soda, their shoulders pressed together on the narrow bench. "Do you ever think about the future?" Jordan asked suddenly. Tom glanced at him. "All the time, why?" "I mean, not just jobs or school. I mean like relationships, love." Tom's throat tightened. The word alone carried weight. "I guess," he said cautiously. Jordan leaned back, staring at the sky. "I've dated before, girls mostly. It was fine, but I don't know, something was missing. I thought it was just me." But then he turned, eyes locking with Tom's. "Then there's you." Tom's heart skipped. "You make me feel different," Jordan whispered. "Like I can just breathe. Like I don't have to pretend." Tom's chest swelled with warmth and fear all at once. He wanted to reach out to close the distance, but he held back. "I feel that too." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy, charged with the honesty neither of them had spoken before. Later that night, Tom found himself pacing in his room. His body buzzed with restless energy. Every part of him screamed to go back to the balcony to hold Jordan, to kiss him. He opened his door and froze. Jordan was standing there as if about to knock. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Jordan laughed nervously. "We're like reading each other's minds now." Tom's lips curved faintly. "Maybe." Jordan stepped closer. The hallway light cast soft shadows over his face, his expression caught between confidence and hesitation. Their bodies nearly touched. Tom could feel Jordan's breath against his skin. His heart pounded, begging him to close the space. Jordan tilted his head slightly, his lips hovering just an inch away. Tom's breath caught, but then Jordan pulled back. "Not yet," Jordan whispered, his voice raw. "I don't want this to be a mistake." Tom swallowed hard, nodding even as his chest ached. "Okay." Jordan smiled gently, brushing his hand against Tom's arm before retreating to his room. Tom lay awake that night, torn between frustration and hope. The almost kiss haunted him, but so did Jordan's words. Not yet. That meant there was still a chance. The following weekend, Jordan invited a few friends over. The apartment buzzed with laughter, music, and the smell of pizza. Tom tried to relax, but his gaze kept drifting to Jordan, especially when one of their female friends leaned against him, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm. A sharp sting of jealousy twisted in Tom's gut. He hated it. He had no right to feel this way. He and Jordan hadn't even kissed, but still, watching someone else soak up Jordan's attention was unbearable. At one point, Tom slipped out to the balcony, needing air. Moments later, Jordan followed. "You okay?" Jordan asked, closing the door behind him. "Yeah," Tom muttered, staring at the skyline. Jordan leaned on the railing beside him. "You don't look okay?" Tom hesitated before blurting. "Do you like her?" Jordan blinked, then laughed softly. "Is that what this is about?" Tom's cheeks burned. "Forget it." But Jordan stepped closer, his tone gentle. "Tom, if I liked her, I'd be with her right now, not standing out here with you." Tom's breath hitched. Jordan's words settled deep in his chest, easing the ache of jealousy. "You're the one I want to be with," Jordan said simply. The sincerity in his voice left Tom speechless. He turned, eyes meeting Jordan's, and this time neither of, then pulled away. It happened sonneturely. Tom almost didn't realize until it was too late. Jordan leaned in slowly, giving Tom every chance to retreat. But Tom didn't move. He couldn't. When their lips finally met, it was soft at first, tentative, careful. The world seemed to pause, the hum of the city fading into silence. Then Jordan deepened the kiss, hand lifting to cradle Tom's jaw. Tom melted into it, his body trembling, his heart soaring. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't reckless. It was tender, filled with every unspoken word they hadn't dared to say. When they pulled apart, both were breathless. Jordan pressed his forehead against Tom's, smiling faintly. "Worth the wait," he whispered. Tom laughed softly, his chest flooding with warmth. Yeah, definitely worth it. The next day, nothing felt awkward. If anything, it felt natural, like this was how it was always supposed to be. They cooked breakfast together, moving around the kitchen with ease, bumping shoulders, stealing glances. There were no grand declarations, no dramatic changes, just comfort, just them. But beneath the sweetness, Tom felt a pang of fear. Relationships were fragile, especially ones built in the shadows of uncertainty. What if this ended badly? What if Jordan changed his mind? As if sensing his thoughts, Jordan reached across the counter and squeezed his hand. "Stop overthinking," he said gently. "I'm not going anywhere." And for the first time, Tom believed it. Tom had always imagined that falling for someone would feel simple once the truth was out. He thought the hardest part would be admitting his feelings. But as the days blurred into weeks, he realized the hardest part wasn't the confession. It was living with the uncertainty of what came after. Jordan was affectionate in ways that made Tom's heart soar. Hand brushes, quick kisses in the kitchen, lazy mornings spent tangled on the couch. But Jordan was also unpredictable. He laughed loudly at parties, flirted effortlessly with strangers, and lived as though nothing could weigh him down. Tom envied that ease, but he also feared it. What if Jordan woke up one morning and decided this? They had only been an experiment. It started small. One Friday night, Jordan was invited to a friend's birthday party. "Come with me," he urged Tom, tugging on his wrist as they got ready. Tom hesitated. "I've got assignments. Besides, you'll have more fun without me." Jordan frowned. "That's not true. I want you there." But Tom shook his head, forcing a smile. "Go have fun." When Jordan returned past midnight, smelling of cologne and laughter, Tom's chest tightened. He wanted toast if Jordan had danced with someone else, if anyone's hand had lingered too long on his shoulder. But the words stuck in his throat, heavy with fear of sounding jealous, clingy, or worse, insecure. Instead, he lay awake while Jordan fell asleep beside him, battling the quiet storm inside. 2 nights later, it spilled out. They were cooking dinner together, the sizzle of the pan filling the silence. Jordan hummed along to music playing softly in the background. Tom couldn't take it anymore. "Did you dance with anyone at the party?" Jordan blinked, caught off guard. "What? You heard me." Jordan set the spatula down, turning to face him. "Why are you asking like that?" "Because I need to know," Tom said quietly, his chest tight. "I need to know if I'm just temporary for you." The words hung in the air like broken glass. Jordan's expression shifted from confusion to hurt. "Temporary, Tom, do you really think I'd be with you if I didn't mean it?" "You're charming," Tom muttered. "You could have anyone. Maybe I'm just something different for you, something you'll get tired of." Silence, heavy, suffocating. Jordan's voice was low, steady, but laced with pain. "That's not fair. You're not just something different. He broke off, running a hand through his hair. "I care about you more than I've cared about anyone in a long time." Tom's throat ached, guilt-wearing with fear. "Then prove it." Jordan stared at him for a long moment, then turned back to the stove, his shoulders rigid. "I shouldn't have to prove how I feel every time you get scared." The rest of the meal passed in silence. For days, a quiet distance stretched between them. Jordan was still kind, still gentle, but something had shifted. The laughter was shorter, the touches rarer, the warmth dimmed. Tom hated it. He hated the space growing between them, but pride kept him from apologizing. One evening, he found Jordan on the balcony, staring at the skyline with a bottle in hand. His hair was messy, his jaw tight. "Can we talk?" Tom asked softly. Jordan didn't look at him. "About what? How I'm not good enough for you? How you think I'll get bored?" Tom flinched. "That's not what It's exactly what you said." Jordan cut in, his voice sharp. "Do you know how hard it is to let someone in? To be vulnerable? I gave you that, Tom, and the first thing you did was doubt it." Tom's chest cracked open with guilt. "I was scared," he admitted. "Scared because you matter too much. Because losing you would hurt more than anything." Finally, Jordan turned, eyes glistening with frustration and hurt. "Then stop pushing me away. If you want me, then want me. Not with conditions, not with fear, just me." The raw honesty in his voice broke something inside Tom. His pride shattered, leaving only the truth. "I do want you. Tom whispered, stepping closer. More than anything. For a long moment, Jordan studied him as if searching for cracks in the words. Then slowly, he set the bottle aside. Then stop running from what's right in front of you, he murmured. That night they didn't talk much more. They didn't need to. They sat on the couch, shoulders pressed together, silence speaking louder than words. When Jordan finally reached for Tom's hand, Tom held it tightly, silently, vowing not to let his fears destroy what they had. The next morning, the tension had eased. The distance was gone. Jordan cracked jokes again over breakfast. Tom rolled his eyes in mock annoyance, and the rhythm of them, the easy, chaotic, imperfect rhythm, returned. But Tom knew now that love wasn't just about longing or sweetness. It was about work, about trust, about CH. Oosing again and again even when it was hard. Weeks later, lying side by side in the dim glow of the TV, Tom turned to Jordan. "Can I ask you something?" "Shoot." "Why me?" Tom's voice was quiet, unsure. "You could be with anyone. You've got that spark. People are drawn to you, so why me?" Jordan chuckled softly, then grew serious. His eyes softened. "Because with you, it's real. No games, no pretending. You see me, Tom, not the charm, not the jokes. Me." Tom's chest swelled, emotion tightening his throat. He reached out, brushing his fingers against Jordan's cheek. "I see you," he whispered. And in that moment, he realized something. Love wasn't about being fearless. It was about being brave enough to stay even when fear tried to push you away. The semester was winding down, the apartment filled with the clutter of textbooks, empty coffee cups, and late-night exhaustion. Tom and Jordan had survived finals week, mostly by leaning on each other, their bond deepening with every study session, every tired smile, every quiet kiss stolen in between chapters. But beneath the comfort was something bigger. Tom could feel it pressing against his chest, a truth waiting to be spoken. He loved Jordan. The word terrified him. Love meant risk. Love meant vulnerability. Love meant giving someone the power to hurt you and trusting them not to. He wasn't sure he was ready to say it, but he knew he couldn't hold it back forever. One Saturday morning, Jordan leaned against the kitchen counter, scrolling through his phone. "Hey," he said casually, "there's this small concert downtown tonight. Want to come with me?" Tom looked up from his notes. "Like a date?" Jordan smirked. "If you want it to be," the simple words sent warmth rushing through Tom's chest. A date, not just hanging out. Not just existing in the gray space between friends and lovers. "A date?" "Yeah," Tom said, smiling. "I'd like that." The venue was small, dimly lit, strung with fairy lights that glowed like stars. The band played soft, soulful music, the kind that seeped into your bones and made you feel everything at once. Tom and Jordan stood close, their shoulders brushing as the crowd swayed. At one point, Jordan slipped his hand into Tom's, not caring. Who saw? Tom's breath caught. It was such a simple gesture, but for him it was monumental. He wasn't just Jordan's secret. He wasn't something hidden in the shadows of their apartment. He was someone Jordan wanted by his side. Tom turned to him, eyes shimmering in the glow of the lights. "You're not afraid, are you?" he whispered. Jordan shook his head, squeezing his hand. "Not with you." Something cracked open inside. Tom, then the fear, the doubt, the walls he had built around himself, they all crumbled in the face of Jordan's steady gaze. Later that night, after the concert, they walked back through the quiet streets. The air was cool. Thessaly hushed. Jordan laughed softly at something Tom said, the sound wrapping around him like a song. Tom stopped suddenly, his heart pounded, his throat dry, but he couldn't hold it back anymore. "Jordan," he said, his voice trembling, "I love you." The words hung in the air, raw and fragile. Tom's chest tightened, waiting for Jordan's reaction. Jordan froze, his eyes widening. For a moment, silence stretched between them, and Tom's stomach dropped. Then Jordan smiled. Not his usual playful grin, but something softer, deeper. "I love you too," he whispered. Tom's breath hitched, relief and joy flooding his veins. Jordan stepped closer, cupping his face gently, and kissed him. Slow, tender, filled with everything words couldn't say. In that moment, Tom knew this wasn't fleeting. This wasn't temporary. This was real. The weeks that followed were different. Lighter. They no longer tiptoed around their feelings. They laughed louder, kissed longer, argued, and made up quicker. They talked about classes, about the future, about dreams of traveling, of finding jobs, of building lives beyond the apartment walls. One night, lying together on the couch, Jordan turned to him. "Do you ever think about us like long-term?" Tom smiled faintly. "Every day." Jordan brushed his thumb across Tom's knuckles. "Good, because I don't plan on going anywhere." And Tom believed him. For the first time in his life, love didn't feel like a risk. It felt like home. Looking back, Tom realized the moment